Hello and welcome. I'm Tafra Gadamu. How are the three major elements, population, health, and the environment, being mainstreamed to address some of the major challenges here in Ethiopia? And what could Ethiopia possibly showcase at the upcoming Grand Summits on Food and Climate? My guest, Endashaw Mogessie, is Executive Director of Population, Health, Environment Ethiopia Consortium. A very warm welcome to the program.
Thank you.
So, population, health, and the environment. This intersectional model, is it fair to say that this intersectional model is new to Ethiopia until probably nearly 2 decades ago?
Yes, we can say that. Even not only for Ethiopia, it is just a recent approach for development that addresses population, health, and environment issues together. So for Ethiopia, I can say it is more promoted after PH Ethiopia Consortium establishment in 2008, August. So our consortium is a pioneer in promoting the population health environment approach that addresses the population issues, the health issues, and the environmental issues together. It is just addressing the intersectionality issues. So it is just, we can say, a recent introduction into the country.
Explain to me a bit more about this model. How does that translate into the Ethiopian reality?
When we say this population health environment development model, it is an approach that addresses the issues of population, health, environment together so that we can ensure sustainable development. The concept of this PHE approach emanates from the concept of sustainable development.
You cannot address one without considering the other. Is that what it means?
Yes, just in PHE approach, we always consider all three issues together. It is even beyond the three issues. There are other social issues like gender and disability and others. So PHE approach is a broader concept that brings different issues together. So in any development programming, we need to be conscious about how different multifaceted issues can be addressed together and how these multifaceted issues are affecting the community. So when it comes to the case of Ethiopia, as you can understand it, the problems are just intertwined, and there are multifaceted problems that our communities are facing. So we cannot address those multifaceted problems with a single sector approach. Rather, we need to have a programming approach that brings the different issues, or we need to have a multi-pronged approach to address the multifaceted problem. So we need to have a solution that fits the problem. That is what PHE approach is doing. So, and we always consider sustainability. It is all about translating the sustainability issues into action. That is a concept of PHE approach.
How is sustainability achieved? Do you consider multiple stakeholders here, from government to communities? How are this?
Yes. You see, in implementing the PHE approach into action, the key consideration is just bringing important stakeholders together. We need to create a mechanism. We call it multi-sector platform or task forces. In all of our interventions, we have this mechanism so that we can bring the different stakeholders together to plan together, to monitor the implementation, and to develop the programs. So be it the government, non-government, and other private actors need to come together so that they can bring the different issues together, and they complement their implementation. So it is all about creating synergy among the different actions, and it helps to resource efficiency and avoiding duplication of efforts.
How do you bring them together? You organize conferences or events? How does it happen?
Yes, the conference comes later. First, we need to do the stakeholder mapping and analysis. And we need to bring those stakeholders who have the stake in that specific issue. Depending on the programs that we have, we make an analysis of the stakeholders, and we see what is the degree of their stake in that specific program.
When you say analysis, you go out and do the research first and talk to governments at the federal and regional levels?
Yes.
To NGOs and other stakeholders?
Yes, we developed a checklist, some sort of a questionnaire, and we have a toolkit for stakeholder mapping and analysis. Based on that, we consult important stakeholders in that specific target areas, and we make an analysis. And then, based on the analysis result, we bring them together in a common platform. And in that platform, just to operate, they will have their own kind of term of reference and action plan, how it supports that specific programs.
So what's your role here? As I understand it, you're not replacing the government's initiatives, right?
Yes.
You're not?
We are complementing. We are just supporting the government to use and apply this specific important approach for its development.
So the government has mainstreamed it in its...
If you see different reports, the key issues in harmonizing development is poor coordination among the different sectors. So that is what we are doing based on experiences from different other countries and also pilot showcase sites of our own. We try to just support and work closely with the government so that they can adopt this approach. It is just, they are just accepting this as an important approach for their own.
So you're talking about different ministries within the government, right? They have adopted this approach that you have developed?
Yes, it is adopted by the government as well as by the different non-government organizations. Now, PHA approach or this intersectional or multi-sector approach is getting attention.
When it's translated into a practice, can you tell me stories of best practices that have surfaced as a result of this intervention that you have developed, this new model?
Yeah.
At the community level?
At community level, I can mention some examples. We have different projects in different areas. To mention some example of best practice, for instance, in Bali area, we have a project supported by the European Union. It is a multi-sector eco-regional project. So it approaches eco-regional approach. So in that project, there are magnificent achievements in health, in conservation, in livelihood, and in other sectors, in gender. You see, that happened because we have tried to just bring a multi-sector approach to solve the complex problems in that area. There is a problem in conservation, the natural resource. In that area, as you know it is the very important area, and it is a hotspot area, which has very important species of animals and plants. But unlike its importance, the resource is just degrading due to several factors. So it might be just agriculture, expansion, and other activities. So we have come, after analyzing the issues, we have come with a multi-sector approach. The approach that addresses the livelihood element through agricultural interventions, sustainable agricultural interventions, like climate-smart agriculture, and also an intervention with the conservation, supporting the communities to engage in sustainable forest management. And also we have come up with an intervention on health. like that of promoting the reproductive health services, including the family planning. So all these were in a package. And it has also a gender component because women has great role in conservation. And we have supported the women to engage actively, to be an active player in conservation activities in that area within the forest management, or we call it participatory forest management cooperatives. So we introduced this approach, and that has resulted in a very significant achievement, and it has been proved through external evaluation.
I guess this is interesting because I'm thinking of the same Afro-Alpine environment that you find up in Simien Mountains National Park, this can be mechanically transplanted there. Have you thought about that? Because if it works in Bali, definitely it could be.
Of course, we had also some experience there in Simien Mountain. Specifically, we have, through this multi-sector approach, together with Frankfurt Zoological Society. It is an international NGO which has long years of experience on protected areas. And that multi-sector approach helped the communities to understand the values of the park.
Any cases, any success stories from the peripheries? I'm thinking of the lowlands and this country.
Yeah, for instance, that the Bali project I told you.
The Bali is one, but you need of the lowlands.
It has lowland part.
Pastoral community.
Yeah, I'm coming to that.
Yeah.
You see, that project, as I told you, it covers very wider areas. The first phase, it has covered seven waradas. And the second phase, based on that result, it was just an outscaling of that best practices into more waradas. So it was implemented in 16 waradas. So it was structured as highland, midland, and lowland. So it covers also the pastoralist areas just down in Dolomena and other waradas, which are pastoralist and semi-pastoralist communities. So this approach was also implemented in that area.
Is it effective?
Yes, it was.
As much as you were in the highlands?
Yes, it was effective.
It has its own set of challenges.
Yeah, it has its own set of challenges, but we tried to just tailor our approach to that context. You see, the most important thing is just using adaptive management, adapting to that specific context. What is the setup within that pastoralist community, semi-pastoralist, and agrarian community? For example, in the lowland, the most important thing is just the rangeland for their livestock. So for that, there are rangeland, participatory rangeland cooperatives established to help sustainable rangeland management. So within that, we were integrating the PHE approach.
So how many are you, the PHE Ethiopia Consortium?
We are 105.
100.
We were 44 during our establishment before 17 years. We, as I told you, our consortium were established in 2008.
So what are the challenges that you face today as you embark on this projects that you're working on? What are the challenges that you face?
There are lots of challenges.
Funding obviously is one.
That is obvious. Of course, with this funding, especially following the stop work order and the closure of the USAID funding for majority of the programs, that has really affected hugely.
Many are downsized.
Many of our members. We are not directly affected because we were not funded by the USAID, but many of our members are affected by this. So,
what does that mean?
For instance, some of important programs are quitted or stopped.
Like, particularly in the health sector?
Health sector, yeah, majority in the health sector, and on gender, even on environment. I know there are some programs are continuing on life-saving key humanitarian actions, but the others are so stopped. That means very important initiatives are stopped at the middle.
So have you lodged your concern to the concern of U.S. institutions like the U.S. Embassy here or something?
No, but we have been raising these issues among our constituency and together even with other consortium like us. So we were discussing and we were just setting some actions how we can address this and how the CSOs can look into themselves so that they can
looking into themselves, meaning raising funds locally.
Yeah, and meaning just how they can diversify their funding opportunities, including income generation.
What other challenges do you face?
The other challenge is, you see, for instance, in regards to...
Is the policy environment, for example, accommodative enough?
The policy is good, but the implementation, there are gaps.
Meaning?
For example, in implementing this multi-sector approach, there are limitations of having mechanisms, you see, because when we say multi-sector approach, which means we need to bring the different sectors together. So there is funding limitation to bring that sector together and for that coordination. So we need to address it at the budgeting process. So there is a need to have a budget for multi-sector mechanisms that help us to translate the multi-sector approach into action. So this is one key important issue or challenge. But when you see the plan and the policy, specifically if you look at the 10-year plan, it has addressed in it the importance of multi-sector approach. But when it comes to the translation, there is a need to have the mechanism.
Addis Ababa is hosting two major conferences. One, the Food Systems Summit in July, and the other one is September. That is the Africa Climate Summit. You've attended that summit in Nairobi 2 years ago. Tell me about those. How would these two summits help you address some of the concerns you raised in the course of this discussion?
These are two big summits. These are an opportunity for the country so to show up or to demonstrate the results recorded so far through different initiatives. One thing is that. And the other is it will also be an important, specifically for the non-government organizations, the CSO, civil society organizations, to create a networking. Through demonstrating our results, we'll create a network, and that will help us to get more support, funding, or other types of support like technical support. So it is very important event. For example, if we take the African Climate Summit, it is a second summit. The first, or the inaugural summit, was held in Nairobi before 2 years. Now that summit has its own outcome. It was just concluded in the Nairobi Declaration. So that was focused on financing and so on. So this summit will also have its own thematic focus areas. Climate finance is one, specifically climate finance for Africa, and sustainable development is the key focus. So in this regard, Ethiopia will have the opportunity to demonstrate the issues and also to get support for that issues. So for the other, the Food Summit, it was held before 4 years. Now this one is UNFSCC +4. So this Food Summit is focused on assessing the transformation within the food systems. So it will be also important platform to demonstrate what we are doing. And as a CSO, we are engaging in both. And we have our own technical working group in both the Food System Summit and also the Climate Summit. So it will give us an opportunity, a platform to showcase what results do we have, what experiences, and we will also learn from us.
You have plenty to show?
Yes. We are just organizing ourselves, not as an individual, but as a group of CSOs, and we are planning to have a certain booth and to exhibit the results to that group. So it will be a learning platform.
Well, good luck with that, and thank you very much, Endashaw, for joining me to talk about this important topic. It was a pleasure.
It is my pleasure. Thank you.